What's up, everybody? It's Aaron Duncan here with the Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk, back again with another Panthers video. And today we're talking about, should the Panthers be worried about Joe Brady possibly being hired away to some of these NFL teams who just fired their coaches? You know, there's some rumors swirling around, so we're going to get into it and talk about that. But before we do, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up. I give recap and analysis of the Panthers and the whole NFL, from film breakdowns to live streams, post-game reacting to what happened, to Wednesday live stream predicting the upcoming week, and all kind of other news that happens and stories like that way before anybody else does. So make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. That way you get all your info here first. So we know Joe Brady was a hot candidate last year coming out, and LSU ended up giving him a contract extension, especially after they won their national championship, and he helped Joe Burrow earn a Heisman Trophy. And they set all kind of NCAA passing records, so it was bound to happen. I mean, many people, including myself, thought it was unheard of for a guy his age and inexperience to be rumored to even be a head coach or offensive coordinator anywhere. But apparently Matt Rhule saw something in him that he wanted him to be a part of his team. I don't know if it was just he wanted to have a college feel with the Carolina Panthers, or he ran into him sometimes, or just noticed what he was doing with LSU and decided that he wanted this guy to be on his staff when he made that jump to the NFL. But however, Matt Rhule seems to have made a good move because Joe Brady has shown a lot of promise early on in his career with the Panthers. I do have my concerns about his age, of course, but we have seen guys like Sean McVay, who are young, come out and have success with a team. And we know that the movement in the NFL is that they're looking for the next young hotshot coach that's offensive-minded, because this league is an offensive league and it's going to predicate to the offense. A lot of people like to have these young offensive-minded head coaches bring in a veteran defensive coordinator to help balance things out, and they just manage and do what they do, hopefully have success. But if you look back in NFL history, coaches around Joe Brady's age that become head coaches don't really have a ton of success. We're talking about the Lane Kiffins, the Raheem Morris, and the Josh McDaniels. All three of these guys pretty much flopped. Now, the two bright spots, of course, are Sean McVay and one of the GOATs, John Madden. But this list of disappointments is a lot longer. It's just a bunch of guys that you probably never heard of, and that's because they weren't ready for those positions and they didn't succeed at all. So the question is, should the Panthers be worried about these head coaching vacancies popping up and Joe Brady's name getting rumored? There was a Sporting News article that came out that ranked Joe Brady as the number 8 possible candidate for the Atlanta Falcons position. And their point was that they showed that he had so much success turning around Joe Burrow's career for him going around to possibly being updrafted to the number 1 overall pick, and showing that he's taking Teddy Bridgewater from a possible game manager to a guy that's leading this team without Christian McCaffrey and have won 3 games in a row. That kind of success doesn't go unnoticed, and that's the bright side of it. The media is really starting to take notice, and they like what we're doing here in Carolina. So that is the bright side. The downside is that once you start having that success, the Buzzards, the Crows, and the Falcons start looking around for your scraps, trying to pull stuff from you, you know what I'm saying? And this is what happens. Now, I can't emphasize enough the importance of coordinators, because the type of head coach that Matt Rhule is, he's more of a CEO type of guy. A CEO doesn't get involved in the day-to-day stuff. He lets the managers handle that stuff. And Joe Brady's a manager. Phil Snow is a manager of the defense. And Matt Rhule is more of a process-oriented guy, a bigger picture guy. Is going to get the teams ready in the grand scheme of things and make sure everything flows smoothly and manages the game. He's not going to be as deep in the X and O's as a guy like Andy Reid might be, or Doug Peterson might be. I mean, we have a prime example of the importance of coordinators with our previous coaching regime, because Ron Rivera, when he had Sean McDermott on his staff, we had a top 10 defense for a number of consecutive years. But you see, when Sean McDermott got that head coaching job with the Buffalo Bills, the success of the defense kind of went downhill. They started to get old. The scheme didn't seem that good. It seemed pretty outdated. And that ended up being the demise of Ron Rivera, because he was a defensive coach and the defense just never was the same once McDermott left. But to me, it just comes down to thinking that Joe Brady may just be too young for a head coaching position. I thought he was too young for an offensive coordinator position. I thought that we were going to be keeping Cam, and then if Joe Brady and Cam come in together, Cam Newton being the same age, if not older than Joe Brady, there may be some clash there, because Cam Newton has had success without Joe Brady, but Joe Brady has not had the same success like Cam Newton has had in the NFL. You see the difference here with Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater has a background with Joe Brady, and he trusts him going back to the New Orleans Saints days. So I have 3 reasons why I think Joe Brady will stay with the Panthers. First reason is I think that Joe Brady is a smart guy, and he's very self-aware. He's going to look at his background and see that he only has a few years as a passing game coordinator with the New Orleans Saints and a passing game coordinator with the LSU Tigers. and being a co-coordinator at that. This is his first stint getting a chance to be the big dog in charge of the whole offensive unit. So I know he probably feels like he needs a little bit more experience and is focused on getting better every day at his job right now. Now, being a coach is not that simple. You also have to be able to manage your time a lot, being able to manage a whole lot of processes, being able to handle the media, and being able to be a leader of men. Not saying that Joe Brady isn't a leader of men, but some people think that if you're that young, you don't have enough experience to be able to talk to them. There are guys in the NFL that are playing into their mid to late 30s, and seeing the small young guy that just turned 31 try to yell at them or talk to them or say certain things may not register the same. The second reason why is because the right opportunity probably won't open up. Okay, so right now the Falcons and the Texans job slots are available, and we all expect Adam Gase to be fired, Matt Patricia to be fired, and possibly Zach Taylor of the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's the Jets, the Lions, and the Bengals. Three terrible franchises that will be open also. Now, the Texans are a playoff team, and the Falcons do have a lot of talent, but Joe Brady being young, I would expect him to want to be paired up with a younger quarterback that he could possibly build up his career with as the young quarterback goes. Now, that does leave that Cincinnati vacancy as a something that make you scratch your chin, because Joe Brady has that background with Joe Burrow, but one, it's unlikely that the Bengals will get rid of their head coach in their second year, even though it seems like he's pretty much lost that team and they're set up for failure, and that may ruin the young quarterback's career if they don't make a correct change. But I still don't see Joe Brady being willing to go to that dumpster fire of a franchise. The Panthers seem to be headed in the right direction with an owner that's willing to open up their checkbook and a head coach that is very relatable when it comes to a guy that came from the college level. And Deshaun Watson and Matt Ryan are good quality quarterbacks, but I think the Texans, they have some holes to fill, and the Falcons, they're in such a limbo when it comes to, do they want to rebuild? Do they want to get rid of the guys they have? Do they want to try to chase a championship? That it could take years and that could ruin his success. Joe Brady wants to probably put his best foot forward and make his next move his best move if he ever makes that step to become a head coach. Nobody wants to go into a situation that's uncertain and possibly ruin their chances of becoming a head coach again. Just looking at some of those other former head coaches that were young that I named before, like Josh McDaniels and Raheem Morris. And the third reason is the almighty dollar. Because we know Joe Brady, after the college football season where he had a good year, the teams were flocking. The opportunities for the jobs were flocking. LSU saw this coming, so they went ahead and gave Joe Brady that 3-year contract extension. However, not even a week after he signed that deal, David Tepper swept in, Matt Rhule swept in, and announced him as the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, obviously the college ranks are cooling on. There's a lot less pressure and a lot more flexibility and stuff like that when it comes to being a head coach. However, when a guy like David Tepper, the richest owner in the NFL, swoops in and probably made him an offer that he couldn't refuse, what can you do? You have dreams of probably making it to the NFL anyway, so why not go ahead and take that opportunity with the head coach and an owner that seems to be really big behind you? I mean, the saying is big bank take little bank. And even though LSU dangled that long-term contract, David Tepper got NFL money. And when you're that rich, you can outbid those scammers and pimps in the NCAA that are getting all these dollars out of the players and just giving them to the coaches. David Tepper got dollars that can't be matched. Big bank take little bank. But I don't want this video to come as a knock on Joe Brady's youth and experience. I just think that with more time, he'll just get better and better, and he'll eventually be a great head coach, probably because he's a smart, bright young mind, and as he continues to grow and get experience, he'll be more coveted and more coveted if the Panthers continue on this pace. And that's just a part of coaching, and that's what you want to see as a coach. You want to see your offensive coordinators get their head coaching opportunities because it showed that they were in a good environment and they were doing good things under you. So maybe 3, 4, 5 years, if Teddy Bridgewater is an MVP candidate and his offense just explodes and he keeps reviving the career of guys like Robbie Anderson, and you see Christian McCaffrey still being productive and playing long, of course Joe Brady's going to get some knocks on his door to be a head coach. And when that time comes, hopefully Matt Rhule and David Tepper will be ready with the plan in place to replace him, to keep things moving as smoothly as possible. Hey, you guys let me know down below in the comments, what do you think? Do you think that the Panthers should be worried about losing Joe Brady? Because that money and that responsibility can be enticing for a guy that has dreams of possibly being a head coach. But do you think that Joe Brady will do the smart thing and just stay because he's probably not ready? Or do you think we should be worried because there's some good opportunities that could open up for him? Let me know down below in the comments. But without further ado, I'm Aaron Duncan signing off with the Necessary Blunt Sports Talk. I'll see you next time. Peace.